Legitimately.
Steph, how would you rate some of your teammates' karaoke performances yesterday?
Alex was the star of the show for sure. Court coverage, crowd play, song choice. LJ was solid. Who else was it? Who am I missing? Oh yeah. No, the video squad, they weren't prepared. They just winged it. But it was always fun just kind of having a little new energy at open practice.
You guys are now 11 days in. What's the vibe? What are you feeling? What are you seeing? I mean, what are you taking from these first 11 days?
Just continue to build on the identity that we formed last year with some subtle tweaks. You know, adding Al, having a full training camp with Jimmy, some things that we all know impact winning on the defensive end, and then just trying to get a little bit more organized in terms of how we're going to create shots offensively. But you don't really, the vibe is great, everybody's locked in. The practices have been competitive and fun, you know, a balance of teaching and you know, going out there and experimenting a little bit. And you can tell with all the different lineups, we know that there's still going to be a lot to work on in terms of, you know, the chemistry and just the certain combinations, but that's part of the journey of training camp. But I just like the vibe and the intentionality that we're all coming with on understanding we need to get off to a good start and trying to make that happen.
Are you able to visualize the spacing you guys can create with all your different lineups?
Yeah, I think, you know, with Al, QP, and Draymond at the 4, a little bit more. There are different looks. Hopefully that can help JK a little bit too in some of those lineups with, you know, a spacing 5 at times. But you got to be able to match that with also the defensive end, and there are things we know we can do better. Two preseason games in, there's attention to detail on rotations, rebounding, stuff like that. But I think at any training camp, it's indicative of like when 1 through whatever it is, 19 we have, or 18, whatever it is, everybody who gets out there is playing hard and enjoying. Like, it was cool to watch that vibe against Portland, you know, fourth quarter, because there's just a competitiveness that we were having in camp and practices that translates to the game. You always like to see that.
Steve and Buddy both mentioned Jimmy's session today. How good was Jimmy today? What did you see from him?
Yeah, it was kind of like a very impactful this day across the board of getting to his spots, this competitive will. You know, our practices have been, I repeat myself, they've been really at a pretty high level. Not every day is you're scrimmaging, but we kind of built up to a good session today, and from jump, Jimmy was attacking the rim, dictating the pace on both ends. He wasn't on my team, so I didn't like to see it. But it was indicative of the ceiling that we can get to, you know, with a guy like that knows at any moment he knows how to win.
I know you've already answered some questions about this, but how is the experience being teammates with Seth compared to what you expected it would be so far?
It's been good. You know, the whole summer it was kind of rumored and teased a little bit that could be something that could happen, you know, at that 15th roster spot, and came down to the day of training camp or day after training camp pretty much when it became official. Played with him in 2013 training camp before he went to Santa Cruz, and then before that it was my senior year of high school. We played 1 year, so I know how he approaches the game. I know how good he is. I know, you know, how he can lift the locker room too, and not, you know, not just that, but knows how to pick and choose his spots depending on his role and his opportunity. and he always finds a way to just, get it done. I know he hasn't played yet in the preseason, but it's cool to, practice against him, see what I know has been the case for the last decade, watching him go through his career and how he does things behind the scenes. And, I guess to hang out with his nieces and nephews a little bit more too, which is cool.
Hey, Steph. Do you feel like this training camp, like how does this training camp sort of compare to past seasons in terms of intensity? Because a lot of you guys are saying like this is a pretty intense training camp.
They all are intense, and they should be. And I think it's just a different element this year, maybe just because outside of championship years when you're coming back, this is the continuity of how we ended last year into this year is probably, at a high in the sense of understanding what we need to do to carry the momentum that we had last year. So there also is a balance, trying to, again, we have 39-year-olds all the way down to 21-year-olds. So you got to balance like the teaching element and the preparation on fundamentals and details with also getting in shape, creating that vibe that, we can be a winning team from jump, and combining that know-how with the youth that we have has been pretty fun.
I know you had a 4-point play the other night. Just wanted to get your thoughts on your early impressions on the rule change with regards to closeouts and the way defenders are allowed to close out the shooters.
Yeah, we had the referee forum, or talking about all the points of emphasis from the summer, and that was one of them. To me, it was kind of overdue because it was a conversation of when you're shooting, how you protect the shooter. For me, like I flail a little bit because I don't want to roll on my ankle. Like it's kind of like a natural instinct. It's not, but when it became something where people were attacking hands, doing like not just a closeout, but like a second motion, going at arms and hands and stuff like that. It's not basketball. It has nothing to do with affecting a shot. It's more just putting people in danger, that type of thing. And it's avoidable. You can still play great defense and avoid doing that. And so when I got that one, and I knew it was coming as soon as I think it was Kamara came across. Like it's like that. They call it the second action. You can have a contest and do what's kind of normal basketball defense and the normal shot contest, but the second act where you're coming through or delivering a blow or whatever, we've been trying to get that call for years. So I do appreciate that as a shooter. I'm sure I'll argue one if it happens to me on the other end, but that's just part of basketball.
Hello, Stephen. What's your impression of Young Hansen after facing him on Wednesday?
Say it again.
What's your impression of the Young Hansen, one Chinese player, after facing him on Wednesday?
I think he's got great potential. That size is crazy, so he'll get used to the speed of the game and all of that, but didn't look out of place at all, so it's a great start. But we'll see him again on Tuesday. But, yeah, it's hard to give real impressions on rookies this early. But you're happy that he's representing, international basketball, Chinese basketball, just the idea of the game growing figuratively and
He said it's like.
metaphorically. What you say?
He says like play the video game against you and Jimmy and Draymond. How's that feel like?
It's cool to still be around long enough where people give that type of feedback on what the experience is playing against you. So that's cool for sure.
Thank you.
Do you already have a number 31 jersey framed at the house somewhere?
Not yet. It's coming for sure. Seth's been around the block. A couple different teams, different numbers. I have the Portland 31 jersey. I got the Dallas 30, the Philly 30, Philly 31. So I've got them all. So I'm gonna get one of these too.
Whose idea was the switch last night?
It was actually his idea in the tunnel, And then I said he didn't want to do my idea. I said when they announced me, he should have ran out. And then when they announced me or him, I should have ran out. We were trying to take it to another level, but
Is there any thought
see.
of wearing 31 for a game this year?
you said what?
You would wear 31 for a game?
I'm sure Adam Silver would love that.
On a serious note, what have you seen so far from LJ a few weeks in?
You can just tell he's a winner. That's point blank. And everywhere he's been, they've had success. Baylor, Houston, the fourth quarter, second half here. Like, not gonna put all that weight on the shoulders for one game, but it's a really cool experience to see somebody make that transition. And you can tell the way he carries himself. He's confident in his abilities. He makes impactful plays. Whether he makes or misses those shots, he just has a presence about him, and there's a reason he's a winner. So it's been cool to get to know him a little bit, and I'm wishing the best for him because he's a great kid, great presence on and off the court.
What are your early impressions of Will Richard?
Another winner, obviously the champ, and he has an approach. He just plays hard right now, and that is a skill. Like, for a lot of young guys coming in, sometimes, as a young guy, whether you know exactly what you're doing or not, you can kind of maybe be a little hesitant or overthink stuff. He's just hooping, just playing hard, competing. You can tell his defensive abilities, and the ceiling is pretty high for him as a two-way player. I know his offense will come in terms of timing and being able to knock down open shots and be able to finish possessions. But I just love the way he approaches the game with his competitiveness, his energy. Like you can tell he cares, and that is a skill set that will carry you a long way.